we are hearing constant conversations of a nuclear Japan, which was unheard of since the Second World War. Henry Kissinger had predicted this years ago, and there's a video of mine on this topic. Now that things are evolving at such a rapid pace, could you please tell the story of it, effects it will have, power balance in East Asia? Will that change, and so on? So, a while ago, a few months ago, I had put out this tweet. Let's put that on the screen. Okay. And this is a quote by Shri Henry Kissinger ji, that Japan is heading towards becoming a nuclear power in 5 years. He said this in 2023. And 2023 is the year that he tragically passed away at the age of 100. He was a great global statesman, and no one understood global diplomacy and geostrategy, etc. Very few people understood it the way he did, because he was part of it for so many decades. So he said in 2023 that Japan is heading towards becoming a nuclear weapons power in 5 years. So that gives us the end state in 2028. So according to what he says, what he said, Japan, if things go as per his prediction, Japan should become a nuclear weapon state by 2028. This is 2026. Today is January 3, 2026. We've got 3 years. 26, 27, 28. In 3 years, will Japan become a nuclear weapon state? So I spoke about the US national security strategy. It is now focusing primarily on the Western Hemisphere. It's consolidating its new imperial muscular stature, muscular policy in the Western Hemisphere. And in the Eastern Hemisphere, it is forcing its vassals to shoulder much of the economic and military burden of which of their defense, military defense, and of supporting American bases and American power projection capabilities. That's what the US is doing. Now, when it comes to the Far East, Japan, South Korea. Japan and South Korea are two major American vassals. These two nations have been under permanent US military occupation for decades. Japan since 1945, South Korea since the 1950s. Now, does it make sense for the US allowing Japan to acquire nuclear weapons? Well, things are changing very rapidly this year. Let's say Venezuela has fallen. Venezuela is now the property of the US. Hypothetically, if sometime later this year or the next 2 years, the Americans take out Iran, then China there'll be a tremendous amount of pressure on China, because Iran is one nation from which China acquires a lot of oil, energy. And if the US controls that, well. And China has a 25-year strategic agreement with Iran. So China loses a major ally if Iran goes. In that case, China will be very tempted to go after Taiwan. Maybe Taiwan may happen irrespective of that. So in that case, it makes sense for Japan to be way more powerful than it is right now, but still under US control. So, that from that perspective, it may make sense for the Americans to allow Japan to become a controlled nuclear power in such a way that you position nuclear weapons on Japanese soil, but you retain the control. The big red button is in Washington, not in Tokyo. That sort of nuclear weapons power. So essentially, American nukes on Japanese soil, which you could say makes Japan, a place where you have nuclear weapons, if not a nuclear weapons power. That may be very tempting for the US, right? Especially if China becomes desperate or whatever, and they, do some saber rattling, make some moves. So it will significantly change the balance of power in East Asia for sure. See, right now, China has to worry about India because of its own actions. India has no desire to be the enemy of China, an adversary of China. It is China that is acting in an adversarial fashion, which is why India has had to take various measures to ensure its national security. One of the measures is a nuclear triad: land-based, air-based, and sea-based nuclear offensive nuclear capability. Right? We have nuclear submarines. We have ballistic missiles. We have air-based, nuclear deterrent that's air-based and ground-based as well. And we have a reasonably good quantity of nuclear warheads. So all of that is to ensure that China doesn't do anything stupid. So China has that to worry about. Now, if Japan also becomes a nuclear power, then China has to worry about two nuclear weapons powers. Pakistan, well, Pakistan can also potentially be used against China because Pakistan is controlled by the US. So you see, the headaches that China faces could multiply rapidly. If you bring South Korea again into the picture and station nuclear weapons there as well, China gets encircled. And it's not like China is on very friendly terms with Russia. China treats Russia as a junior partner. So making Japan a nuclear weapons power will significantly alter the balance of power in East Asia. And yeah, it does make sense from a strategic perspective. So we'll see if Mr. Kissinger was right or not. We were 3 years in which we can either prove or disprove his claim, his prediction, let's say.